What I did was to open the folder moviepro.ai in my text editor PyCharm, but you can use any text editor to open this, whichever is your favorite. Once I opened the folder here, I added three things. One is I downloaded the American movie plots 2005 to 2021 v1.csv that we created, and I placed it in this folder. Then I added another file called as requirements.txt, which contains three things: Markdown, Streamlit and Pandas, because we are going to use these three libraries to be able to visualize our dataset. And the main important file is streamlit_app.py. So I created this file. So this file has all the code to navigate between the movie plots that we collected and create a simple Streamlit UI. We are going to see that in just a moment. Let's first submit this and deploy and visually see how the Streamlit UI looks. Then we can come back to the code and understand what it does. So if you open your GitHub desktop again, you can see that now you have quite a lot of files that we created. What we can do is add all these files to ignore. We don't really want these files. And now let's commit this. So let's just write first commit dataset visualization, and let's just commit to main. Push to origin. Now if we go back to moviepro.ai and just reload this. Now if we just refresh and see, we have all the necessary files: requirements.txt, Streamlit app, and the actual CSV file that contains all the data that we collected. Now once you're done with that, visit streamlit.io. So this is the Streamlit website. Basically it's a fast way to build and share data apps with UI and UX. In order to understand the usefulness of Streamlit, you need to understand how things were built back in the day. Let's say if you take 5 or 6 years back. So if you have a collab notebook or code, it's not directly displayable to managers or other non-technical stakeholders in the company. So what you need to do is you need to be able to create a simple UI so that managers or other technical people can play around with it and see whether the model that you developed is performing according to their expectations, etc. So back in the days when you wanted to build simple GUI, graphical user interface, you used to use libraries like TK interface, TKINTER, that's what it stands for, and create some simple GUI with this. For example, you can go to this tutorial points lecture. And with some code like this, you are able to build simple graphical user interfaces. And later on, what happened was, using Flask, you were able to build much more sophisticated UI UX. But the problem was that learning Flask, also you need to learn a little bit of HTML, CSS and JavaScript to be able to build a proper graphical user interface that you can give to other stakeholders who can try out the model and experiment with it. So as a data scientist, you had to learn multiple other things, which is Flask and some HTML, CSS and JavaScript, to be able to build some usable apps and graphical user interfaces so that stakeholders can try it. But that was a big problem because it's not in the direct line of expertise for data scientists. And what happened in the recent times was Streamlit came along, and with just pure Python code, you are able to build full graphical user interfaces that you can show it to other stakeholders who are non-technical, take feedback and iterate faster. So Streamlit is I would say it's a magical tool, because I began with Flask and HTML, CSS, JavaScript programming and building some UI interfaces with that. In order for me to migrate from that to using Streamlit, it's a breeze to do that with just pure Python code. Now in order to deploy the app, basically go to streamlit.io and then click on this. So essentially you come to streamlit.io/cloud, and now just get started. Now once you click on get started, it will ask you to sign up. I am continuing with my GitHub. You can sign in with your email ID and then connect your GitHub actually. So your email ID that you're connected with and the GitHub account might differ, so no need to worry. Connect the right GitHub where you can point to. So wherever moviepro.ai repository is created, connect that GitHub. So once you're here, your page looks like this, and click on new app. And as we have seen, my repository name is actually moviepro.ai. So if you just click on here, it will show some suggestions. moviepro.ai, and the branch is main branch and the main file path. So the main file is named as streamlit_app.py itself. Once you have just selected this, just click on deploy. So it will just take some time, and you can click on manage app to see that all the things are being installed. Awesome, you can see that it's successfully deployed. Just you can close this part, and as you can see, we have our moviepro.ai, and we have the title organize your movie script powered by AI. Just click on next. You can see that you can just iterate through the movies like this. As you click on right, you go to the next page. So out of the total 3409 movies, we can scroll through the movies like this, back and forth, as you can see. So this is where you need to look at the data and see that it's making sense, or if there are any errors in collecting. So you can see that we can click on Phantom of the Opera and come to the plot. So the first paragraph is in 1919 and the last one is back in the present. Let's just confirm in 1919 and back in the present. Great. So we collected the data correctly. So similarly with any dataset, first thing is actually build a dataset visualizer. You will recognize how powerful this is, because a lot of datasets are badly created, and you will immediately realize that there's no point in training with this data, or you need to do post filtering, etc. And for paraphraser, I have seen it during my experimentation that a lot of datasets are really bad, and that's the case with most datasets. And so you need to build a dataset visualizer before you can go ahead and train your own models. And here I am sequentially going through when I click on next or previous, but you can randomize this to show any movie from 3409 movies randomly as well. So it depends on the code logic that you gave. Now let's go back to the code and see how this code actually looks like. So this is basically Streamlit app. For example, previously if you had collected all the movie scripts, but you had to build some dataset visualizer with Flask and HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and build an app and host it, it was too complex for a data scientist to build, because you cannot just say that you collected data. Rather, people who want to look at the data are non-technical stakeholders like your manager or other HR team or some other team members or the data labeling team who want to make sure that the data collected is right, etc. Now the beauty is that you can just share this to any emails, or you can make this app public for some time temporarily, and then you can give this URL to your manager. They can quickly scroll through and make sure that all the data that you collected is correct and clean, so they can give it a go for you to go ahead and train your model.